Hello everyone, my name is Stacey K. Roach and I'm here with you guys today on a new episode of the Rebrand and Rebuilding community. So I'm here with you guys today with a special guest. I'll let her introduce herself, so we'll jump right in and go right over to her. And you just tell them who you are and, you know, what you do.
Hello, everyone. I'm Martine Felton. I am an author. I'm a psychic tarot reader and intuitive life coach. I do Reiki energy healing and sound healing. So, you know, I do a lot of things. And a podcast host. I almost forgot that. But mainly, I love to write, and I'm working on putting out, you know, some more books, and I am mainly a writer and a psychic medium.
Okay, great. And yeah. I want to jump right in because my podcast is based on, you know, overcoming. Myself, I overcame homelessness and divorce. And you've overcame dealing with certain type of men. You know, certain type of, you know, people with certain characteristic traits, let's say that. People with certain personality traits or disorders, if that's what you want to call it. So, you know, in my situation, in my, you know, separation and then being divorced, I said that my ex-husband was a narcissist, but that was something that I picked up on too. When you around something and someone for so long, you pick up on bad habits. And I picked up on a lot of narcissistic bad habits from him. And right now, so we've been now divorced maybe over a year, over a year, but we have been separated from each other now going on almost 2.5 years. So I had to really cleanse myself. I had to get all that up out of me. Like it was toxic. And like, how did you deal with that? Like, how did you dealing with a narcissist? And
well, I would say, well, first I want to address the first part that you said. It's more or less overcoming, not overcoming them, but really gaining more self-worth and self-love for yourself, because you never really can. I mean, you can get over a narcissist. I mean, I don't really think you can really get over it. You just have to learn how to deal or learn how to remove yourself, because they're not going to change. You know what I mean? So you need to make the changes within yourself and within the, you know, the geography, you know, like leave them. Yeah. So if that's an option for you, because not everybody can. So I feel like, you know, it's more so of doing that inner work, but really dealing with that type of toxic behavior is really just being aware. Because once you're aware that you're being manipulated and that, you know, there's such thing as emotional abuse, then you see that person for who they are, and you can know how to navigate that situation a lot better. A lot of times, I know for me, I did not know what a narcissist was back when I was dealing with it, right? I didn't have that even know what that terminology meant. Never heard of the word. And so in retrospect, when I started doing my inner healing, then I started seeing all this information out there, and I was like, that's what was going on. Yeah. That was going on with me and him. And I was like, oh, okay, so that's what that is. This is a thing. So, that's how I dealt with it. I felt like I dealt with it better once I became aware and was able to get myself out of the situation and heal myself.
Yeah. That's the first step, like you said, is you first have to own up to it, accept it, become aware. A lot of us like to be naive to things, because when we think we're naive, it's like, oh, I'd rather not know than know. But it hurts you not to know. So the first step is to accept it and be aware of it, and then, like you said, removing yourself. And then you correct. I don't think you can ever really overcome a person like that, because some people do change, but some people are okay and they're comfortable with being who they are, and they don't mind tearing other people down and manipulating, and some they use manipulation as a form of love. Like they love bomb you, like they just love you to the moon and back, and then that's where the emotional abuse and stuff come in at. That's where the manipulation comes in, because when people know when you truly love somebody, they know you'll go to hell and back for that person you love. And that's how the society is now. They want you to ride or die, so everybody now, they feel like you manipulating me or you emotionally abusing me, they feel like that's love. And a lot of people don't really know what love is, and that's kind of sad, because I can't even say that I wasn't aware, because I knew my ex-husband was the way he was, and I still chose to marry him. And it wasn't for love. It was more so because I grew up in a Christian household, and I got pregnant outside of wedlock, so I felt like if I didn't marry him, I would go to hell. Like that, we have to be married. So, but I accepted who he was, because I was like, well, I got a baby from him. I got to be with that man. And, little do we know.
A lot of times we don't want to rock the boat either. And we think that overbearingness and that manipulation, that jealousy or whatever, however it's manifesting for them, we think we kind of substitute. We like, oh, he must really love me.
Cause he acting like this, and
he acting all crazy.
Yeah, he loved me. He beat you upside your head. No, that's not love. But I had to find out the hard way too. My ex-husband and I, we fought a few times, but it wasn't no really like domestic violence. But we've got into our quarrels. So I agree. And at first I did look at it like, oh, he really loved me. And I started to be like, no. Because like I said, I know what true love is. I've been loved the right way before. So I couldn't even act like I was blind to it. I was aware. And like I said, and I also picked up on a lot of those traits. A lot of times, I'm sorry, they say birds of a feather flock together. I never really wanted to agree with that. Because I always felt like just because I'm with them don't mean I'm like them. But it rubs off on you whether you know it or not. Subconsciously, whether it really do. And it did. Like seriously, I had to get my shit together before I had to really heal. Like I really had to heal, and I'm not dealing with anyone on that type of level when it comes to relationships at the moment, but it's for a choice, because I need to be me. I know I still have a lot of bad habits. I've been breaking a lot of those, and I've been overcoming my fears, and I just been learning who I was. I got pregnant at an early age, 15. I was young. I was a kid having a kid. And, so I didn't know what Stacy liked, because at 15, I was pregnant. So it's not what I like anymore. And
there's nothing wrong with being alone.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's for the best. Sometimes you get a lot more done.
Yeah, you know what? You believe it or not, because you're not living for anyone else, and you living for you. So that's what. Yes, it is sometimes better to be alone. And all throughout my life, I try to never be alone. I always try to fill my time and my energy, my space with just people and things and food and money, like just with stuff. I was cluttered. I really did try to fill my life with different things, thinking that was going to be okay. And if it wasn't for the divorce, I would have never been forced to be alone, and I would never found myself. I wouldn't even be right here now. So at first I was like, I hate him for divorcing me. Yeah, I wouldn't, because I'm doing what I've been wanting to do since I've been a kid, but I was afraid. And then I just, like I said, that marriage, that really had that was a weight. And I'm not gonna not to bash him, because I don't really have anything bad to say. I chose him, but anyways, I chose poorly, but that was my choice, and I do accept that, and I see that now. He didn't force himself on me. that was me choosing him, you know, and like I said, picking up on bad habits and then having to overcome that. But your book, let's talk about your book, because your book, basically what we're talking about now and all the, you know, these topics that your book explains, it elaborates. Right? Correct. Like, it does. So what's the name of your book? Your recent book, sorry.
Yeah, You Love, You Learn. And the reason why I titled it that is because I really, from my experience, and I believe for other people too, that a lot of our lessons, a lot of the soul lessons that we come here to learn, we learn through our relationships. Yep. You know, romantic relationships, friendships, family relationships, all that. So I really feel like that, you know, you go through a relationship and there's a lesson for you to learn from that relationship. And if you move on to another relationship, there's another lesson to be learned. So as I moved through my relationships, I learned a lot of lessons. One of the things that I know personally for my purpose here is that I needed to overcome self-worth, you know, low self-esteem, and really love on myself. And that's an ongoing process. It's not just, you know, journaling a little bit and doing a little bit of shadow work and all of that.
Life process.
It's a journey. And so, you know, I'm still doing it, even though I'm in a marriage right now. That's great, and we're happy. But there's just because you're in a relationship, a good relationship, doesn't mean that you stop all of the self-love and the self-care practices for yourself. You still keep that going. And I really felt like people, women namely, could benefit from reading my story and see themselves in my story, because we all go through the same thing, just at different times. And I took my journals from those specific times and I put, you know, the journal entries together and created a book. And I put some affirmations at the end of each chapter and some journal prompts, because I really love journaling, and I think it's a good way. I think it's a good way to get your feelings out. So just put that all together, and there you have You Love, You Learn.
I like that. You know what? That was very creative, and a lot of people can learn business-wise from how you wrote your book. So I actually enjoy that. I know you said that you overcame, you know, basically, you know, having low self-esteem, and I think a lot of us, because we have our pride. As women, we don't want to say that our self-esteem low, and we try to be pretty, and with the makeup and, you know, with the weave. I wear weave, you know, we all do, you know, lashes, whatever. I feel like a lot of that stems from low self-esteem. Now, you can wear all of that and have great and high self-esteem, but a lot of times it started because we didn't like the way we looked without it. Like, let's be honest. And I know I'm going to be honest. Like, now that I wear makeup, now I'm in my 20s. Well, I'm sorry, 30s. I started wearing makeup a few years ago. I never really wore makeup. Like, I wasn't really a girly girl type. I just started having skin issues. And then, like, I kind of, that really hit my, you know, self-esteem. I took a big blow. And that's when I really started wearing makeup. I was like, I didn't really like the way I look with my, you know, natural skin because of the skin disorder. And like I said, it's hereditary. So it's something I have to deal with for the rest of my life. So now I'm like starting like just doing more with self-care and trying to cleanse myself from the inside out. Like, and I'm starting to embrace, you know, my natural skin without the makeups. But it took some time. And me personally, that's where the self-esteem, that's where the makeup, the hair, that's where all that came from for me. But I think it starts for a lot of other girls. I'm not the only woman out there that, you know, don't like the way we look or whatever. And we try to cover it up. Just being honest.
Well, for me, I felt like, I wear, you know, I've had my day with makeup. I actually used to be like a makeup artist. So I know, you know, I used to wear makeup every day like it was nothing. I used to beat my face every day with that stuff. And I still wear makeup. But for me, it was more, that self-esteem was more not on the outside for me, but it was more on the inside. Like because I grew up in a house where my parents, and I love them to death, but my parents wanted us to focus on school, then you go get a job, and you work, and you just live regular. Yeah. So me, my free-spirited self, I always was interested in this, I was interested in that, and I was interested in this, and I would start this thing and not finish it, and then I would start the next thing and not finish it. And I always had the voice of my parents, especially my dad, in the back of my head, like, damn, Martine, you don't finish nothing. You know what I mean?
That was me.
And that was how I believe it started for me. It wasn't external at first. And so I got to the point where I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So then I prioritized relationships. I tried inserting myself in, relationships and other people's, I had to meet a guy, I had to be in a relationship because I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. So I figured, well, everyone, my friends are booed up and everybody's, shacking up. This one's having a baby and this one's getting married. And I was like, and what about me? I'm not doing nothing. So that's how it started for me. I felt like, because I hadn't accomplished anything. And so I just tried to insert myself into a relationship because I felt like that was the next best thing that I could do, to feel. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not the way.
Yeah.
We learned that is not the way. So
I kind of always thought, because growing up, I didn't have, like I said, I always wanted to use my voice, and I always wanted to speak, even if I was just hosting. I didn't know that.
Me too.
But other than that, I didn't really know. Like, I always like, well, I want to be a mother, and like I said, I love my mom. I love my mother. She have her shortcomings. We all have our shortcomings. She just, at that time in my life, she wasn't the mother that I needed at that time. She was what she could be with what she had, and she did the best with what she had. And I understand that. Now that I'm older and going through my own stuff, I understand.
Yeah, you realize your parents... Your parents had their own journey too.
Yeah, you know what? With my dad, I love him to death, but some stuff is a choice, and I feel like you just choose. It's like, hey, but now with my mom, she did a lot of messed up things, but she had to do what she had to do with what she had, and I can respect that. And I respect the person that can be honest and own up to who they are and what they do, and you know what? You get more respect, even if you ain't shit. I hate to say it. You can just be honest. People will respect you a little bit more. But when you lie about it and try not to own up to it, it's hard. But I still love my dad. I still love him. It's just with my mom, I respect her more. Like I said, she just wasn't what I needed at that time. I needed a little bit more. And I had to get out here, and I just felt like I wanted to be a mother because I wanted to be a better mother. And then I wanted to be a wife because like you said, I didn't really know what I was going to do with my life. So I felt like if I did nothing else, I was a wife and a mother. I did.
Then you meet some guy who's fast talking and charming, and you're like, hey, I can make a life with this guy, and you start trying to play house.
Yeah, not knowing what you're doing.
Yeah, not knowing what you're doing. Exactly.
Basically, like I said, so many people. If you can't relate to that, come on, like we all been there. Like seriously, like okay. Now with y'all, I want to jump in real quick before we get off here, and talk about your tarot reading. I know you do. Before I butcher the word, Reiki
energy.
I told y'all I was going to butcher it.
Feeling.
So
okay.
I believe in energy. I'm starting for the last maybe 6 months. I've been listening to Abraham Hicks and I start to, like the laws of attraction, like I can start to feel it and experience it. So I've been believing in it. But I don't know a lot about tarot. Say the word again.
Tarot
cards, the Reiki, and just energy reading. Like how do you go about that?
Well, how it started for me is me getting a reading myself from a medium who told me that I had gifts and I was going to be doing what he's doing at the time. And I didn't really believe him in that moment, but I always felt like I had some sort of psychic gifts because my dreams were always prophetic. From when I was younger, I would have dreams and they would happen or they would mean something and it would manifest. And I always was able to read people and feel energy in the room. I would absorb people's energies and stuff. And so I knew that there was something there, but I didn't think that I would get to this point where I would be having real gifts and I would be using them to help other people. So he told me that, and then I came back to him and I asked him, well, where do I start? What do I do? How do I build my intuition? How do I build these gifts? And because he was telling me that my ancestors wanted to speak to me, been trying to communicate. And I'm like, okay, but how do I start? He said, buy a deck of tarot cards. Mm-hmm. And so I bought the deck and I taught myself the meanings of the cards. And when I started really getting into it, then it's like the cards kind of just came alive for me. Mm-hmm. And, I started buying more cards, different types of cards, but it's like they just started coming alive. Like if you connect with spirit and you have a tool of communication, like some mediums use cards, some mediums use pendulums. Everybody's gift manifests differently. Yeah. So once you find that tool in which spirit communicates with you, where you get that clear communication with spirit, that's what is your tool. So right now my tool of choice is cards. So when I start shuffling my deck, I already feel spirit coming in to assist, and because it's not me giving the message, I'm just the medium, basically, and it's
working through you. Yeah,
it's working through you. And a lot of people think that anybody can pick up a tarot deck.
Yeah, you can't just play around with something you don't know. Like, I don't, you know what? If I don't know, I don't know. I don't mind saying it because especially I believe in spirit and I believe in energy and I don't play with none of that. Like, so, you can't go to anybody either. You gotta be careful.
And I always tell people you use your own discernment.
Yeah.
If you get your vibe, use your own discernment. If you don't vibe with me, then don't get a reader from me.
And if you don't feel like it's gonna be good, seriously, get out your pride. Get out, seriously, you really, even if you have to meditate on it, you seriously need to think this through before you just go to anybody, because people could just be telling you stuff and then people could be putting spells and stuff on you, or I don't play with it.
Listen,
you gotta be careful though. And my grandmother always taught me, don't let just anyone pray for you, because people be praying bad things over you. People be don't wish you well, and they'll say certain things with their words, but their intentions and the way they feel about it is totally different. So you got to be careful. Like I've always been taught that since I've been a little one. Like I don't play. I don't play with that.
It's true. Your grandmother was right.
I'm praying with you. If you ever say you praying for me, okay, well, let's pray together, because I don't know what you gonna be really talking about. Like, hey, that's real.
That's real. That's real. That was like a light bulb when you said that. I'm like, hey, because I used to always tell people, child, pray for me.
No, you can't. Don't pray for me.
And I'm like, wow, I must have, I know a few times I told the wrong person to pray for me.
A lot of people have. I'm glad that's something I learned from a young age. My grandma always just saying that was one thing before she died that she did teach me, and I'm actually happy because it worked out well, because I see people
Yes.
a lot of times and they say, well, I had the pastor, I had such and such pray for me, but my life ain't. And then I'm around them so I can, I'm witnessing, that it manifesting in front of them. So they're not just making this up. But I do also believe we create our own reality. So if you let someone pray over you and tell you what you're going to be doing and how you're going to be doing it, especially if they're not, like you said, if they're not true. And if they're not real about who they are and what they're doing, you can't just. That's why I said don't let just anybody, because some people are very wise, and we do need people like you. Like we need that, but it's a lot of bad apples in every field and everything.
Yeah, I know.
You get a lot of bad apples. It's just the world.
Yeah.
So anyway,
so that's how I got into doing the tarot, and it's been expanding for me ever since. I'm still developing. A lot of mediums have different gifts, like I said, clairvoyance, clairaudience, where you can hear spirit or you can see in your mind's eye. My strength is clairsentience, where I can feel your energy, or I can feel spirit in the room. My clairvoyance and my clairaudience is developing. I'm not going to lie, a few times, I've heard some things that I'm like, that wasn't in here, right? And it'll just come out of the blue. Yeah. And, I'll be coming out my car, going to Target, and, I heard, something, and I'm like, what? And I know that, and that happened. And I know I was like, well, Martine, just slow down and maybe you could, but you have to be, it's faint, and that's why I say it's developing, because some mediums can hear clearly, like, my voice and your voice right now, they're hearing, that's how they hear spirit. And some people are different. So it comes and goes, but it's like a muscle too. It's not as willy-nilly as like that. It's that you have to practice. Okay. And you have to constantly use it, like when you work out, you build your muscle and it gets bigger and bigger and whatever. It's like that. The more you use it, the more they're going to show up for you. The more that they see that you're using your gift, the more that your spirit guides and your angels will show up for you.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a reading, because so far, like, I met one lady that she reads, like, she works for one of the company that I work for, and she reads tarot. But I never got a good vibe from her. And at first when I first met her, I was like, when she told me, I was like, yeah, like, matter of fact, she didn't even tell me. I take that back. I mentioned it, and then she was like, hey, I got some cards. And then I was like, okay, we're gonna, do it. But the day that we said we was gonna do it, something came up and we couldn't do it. The second time, something came up, we couldn't do it. And I was like, you know what? That might be something telling me not to let her read for me, because
it's not a might. It is.
You know what? I'm actually glad I didn't, because a few days later, her and I, we started like kind of butting heads, and I was like, wow, like, I get along with literally just everybody. Like, I don't have too many people that really don't like me. So when you just meet me and you don't like me, that kind of bothers me. I love people. I like to make everyone comfortable. I always, like I said, I don't try to dim my light. I don't try to, dim my light to make you feel better, but I'm not going to be all out in your face and being picky and petty about it. Like, I'm very mature. You don't have to worry about that. I'll stay clear of you. You stay clear of me. Like, I can respect you. We don't have to like each other. But some people it happened the way it happened. And I was like, you know what? I'm glad I never let her read my tarot, because that might not have turned out to be as good as it wouldn't have went as well as I thought it was gonna go.
Yeah, so, yeah, and I definitely feel like that was a sign. Those were signs for you too.
I'm actually
because she was just like, oh, I have cards.
Yeah, out the blue, because I mentioned it. Like I said, I thought I was gonna start saying, since she said ask me, but I mentioned it, and then she came up and said, hey, I got cards, and I was like, okay, yeah, we gonna do it. We set two dates 2 times, and just like not trying to make still like not try, like just trying to cancel it and just being late. Stuff just happened where we had to both work later and we couldn't get off, and we worked for the same company, so she knew I wasn't lying and I knew she wasn't lying. Like it was really just, it happened just the way it needed to happen. So I'm starting to trust my intuition a little bit more. Like I really, like me personally, I'll know something, I'll feel it, but I wouldn't go with it. I'll listen to what you say, because you said that was what's best. So the last few years, especially since the divorce, I've been getting better at, you know what, my own discernment, how I feel about things and how I perceive them to be. Now, sometimes, like I said, we could be wrong, and I don't mind constructive criticism, but sometimes you need to listen to that voice. If it's don't go left.
And like I said, and that's another thing that's like a muscle too. You know, the more that you listen to those gut instincts, which is your intuition, the more that you'll be more comfortable to listen to it, because
yourself.
Yes, exactly.
We don't trust ourselves, and that's why we don't.
Yes,
but we got to start trusting ourselves more.
I mean, I went through years of spirit telling, like hearing, you know, guidance. No, Mark, don't do that. Don't, you know, I went through years of that, and I always thought it was me. Like, I thought I was crazy. I'm serious.
But you wasn't crazy.
No, I was not, because every time I didn't pay attention to the guidance, something proved me like, yep, you see, you should have listened to the little voice. I
swear I've been there. But thank you so much. I'm so happy you took this time to come on, my podcast and do this.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Much gratitude.
I'm gonna get all your information after this, so I can, we can tag you and follow you, and I most definitely your book, everything I want to support. So I most definitely will be getting that.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
When I get the book, I'll be posting it. I'll be tagging you in my book, because I most definitely want to read that book. I really feel when I meet certain people, I automatically feel like I can learn something from them. Just depends on who you are and if we vibe or click, whatever. But as some people, I know I can learn a lot from you. So yes, when I went on your profile, I was like, dang, I was impressed. When I went on your website,
thank you so much. Thanks, I really appreciate that.
Thank you. And I'll let you know. I'll send you everything you need for the links for you to have this copy of the interview. So,
okay, great.
And I'll talk to you soon.